What a exciting, epic, exhilarating, terrifying, just amazing, ambitious, visually exceptional, character-driven, yet explosively epic and grand episode or 2 episodes of TV, finishing up season 4 part 2 of Stranger Things. What an experience. I loved it. I loved almost all of it. It was really, really good. I just want to start off by saying it was really good. I love Stranger Things and I love these 2 episodes. But am I the only one that kind of thought they were going to Infinity War this? Or kind of pull a bit of a Game of Thrones? Early Game of Thrones, not back half of Game of Thrones. And kill more characters, kind of set the stakes and kind of leave it on an Empire Strikes Back kind of moment of like, oh, it's real sad, it's real bad. And they definitely did, and they kind of, look at the audience and go, what an Empire Strikes Back moment that was. Like, she lost, Elle lost, she's sad she lost, and oh, he's gonna come back. He's doing the Voldemort thing, like he's got no nose like Voldemort, but now he's also in hiding, gathering strength back up, ready to be better. And he does some lip service of being like, oh, this is the beginning of the end. You thought you beat me, but I've beaten you, you're already dead. But no, there's no way Vecna wins season 5. Season 5 will 100% they'll win. I imagine it'll just be the exact same as season 1's ending, where she's got the Demogorgon up and she's like, bye, Mike! And Mike's like, no! And they explode together and it all kind of wraps up like that. But Demogorgon, replace that with Vecna. That'll be the end of the show, probably. But they'll still win. So, I don't know, for this to be the loss, the tragic loss. Yeah, we lost a few characters. We lost Eddie. But he's just this season. He's one of the best characters of the whole show. It's amazing how you can almost forget that he's just in this season. But he's just in this season, Season 1, they killed Barb. Season 2, they killed Samwise Gamgee. And season 3, they killed that Russian scientist guy. And he's like, I love slushies and American consumerism or whatever. I don't know, the Russian guy with the Slurpee. They killed him. All great characters that were tragically killed off. But they were kind of one and dones. I don't know, you've got your core cast of characters. And then you're like, Jax, we're even watching the show. What about Max? What about Max? I hear you screaming into your computer or onto your phone just yelling at me. Now, I've got no heart. They killed Max. But did they? They kill her, and it's, I don't know, I will give them credit. I never really imagined, in episode 4 or whatever, when she rises up in the sky, I was like, I can't imagine them snapping her bones. They've made Vecna's kills too gory to kill one of these children. I know she's not even a child anymore, but the character's meant to be. So I could never really imagine that in my mind. And so, full credit, they went there, they snapped her bones, and it was truly horrific. But I think that, if you're gonna go there, and they went there, but then they kind of, went there, then went, no, we're not fully going there. I just feel I don't know, it's not a coward move. They still kind of went there, but it just feels so you've almost done it. You've taken 9 steps there, and that 10th final step, it's just, you kind of pull back 2 steps, because it's yeah, she dies, and Vecna's like, well, he's already burning and dead or whatever, but she kind of dies from her injuries or whatever, and it's a really horrific scene. Her and Lucas, just exceptional acting. The production level, the acting, the music, everything in this app, everything was really, really good. I just have I don't know, there's just this part of my, I don't know, there's this sinking feeling where I'm I just feel if you really want to capitalize on this, you don't have the portals opening and it's all the gates of hell dimensions and all, it's all rising up. You've got the Upside Down's going to meet in this big apocalyptic destruction-y thing. Season 4 Jock gets ripped in half with this gory, thingy, and all this stuff happens. And you're like, oh my god, they went there. And then Elle's crying and it's all sad. And you're like, oh, it's so sad, it's so crazy. And then I was like, I've actually got Rey Skywalker's stake-destroying, healing factor. I can just bring her back. And I know she doesn't bring her fully back, but to have her in a coma and she's never going to wake from the coma. I've seen a show before. You don't do that if you're not planning to bring her back. I just think it'd be really weirdly depressing and just, I don't know, horrible kind of story element of season 5 if she's just in a coma for ages and then just dies, or she's just in a coma forever. That just doesn't really compute with me. I don't understand why they would do that. That doesn't really emotionally work for me, because I'm heartbroken that she died. And I'm I cannot actually believe they did that. Because the whole time, he's like, Elle, I love you. I don't say I love you because I'm insecure, but I love you. And Mike, gets his first actual scene of the season as he's talking to her and in the bath of salt and all that stuff. And the whole time you're like, oh, Elle's gonna make it. Elle's gonna make it. I can't see them doing it. But then Max is snapping together and they do it. But then Elle's like, actually, I've got those stakes destroying healing factor powers. So it's like, and I know it doesn't fully work. It doesn't compute with my brain. I don't understand why they would do this. I don't understand why they do it like this. It just feels a bit bizarre and a bit kind of like, I don't know. I feel like my emotions are on a roller coaster, but I'm not able to sit with the emotion. Like, kill her and then have her die and have just, I don't know. I didn't feel like at the end of this episode, I wasn't heartbroken. I wasn't crying. I wasn't like emotionally devastated. It was like a journey and it was exciting, exhilarating, terrifying, and all these things. But I kind of felt like, even though they fought so hard and there was so much, blood, sweat, and tears going into it, it felt like there's too many characters for them all to get out of it. And in the end, it really owes only Eddie and half of a Max that die. And I'm not trying to come across as bloodthirsty and psycho. Like, I don't want any of these characters to die, but I think that's why it would be horrifyingly, that powerful to just, actually kill them and not kill them and then maybe bring her back and now she's in a coma. And with Eddie, it's like, I don't know, that whole situation of him dying just felt really like you could have not had him self-sacrifice himself in that way. Like, I understand, I love the idea of him being like, I ran away that one time, but now I'm not going to run away. And he's like standing there, like, I am a hero. He's got his spear and his shield. He's doing all the action hero moments. And it really works like in that way. But there is just a point of him being like, couldn't he just climb up the thing? And then couldn't they like what was their plan? Like, they were planning to always run away. Did they not have a plan to stop the bats if the bats decided to come through? But also, there was never really set in stone that the bats would actually follow them into the next dimension, like into their world. The bats seemed like they were kind of, I don't know, protecting Vecna on that side in the Upside Down. And I know the Demogorgon's always like jumping back and forth. And he's loving traveling between the universes. But the bats never really said they were going to do that. And even if the bats did get through, weren't they going back into the caravan? Couldn't they reinforce the caravan there? I don't know. It just felt like there were ways they could have done it where it would have been more shocking, more horrifying. And it just felt so prolonged where it's like he's riding the bike, he's doing the fight, and I'm like, well, he has to die now. Otherwise, this feels really like fake. And like, I don't know. I feel like I'll be emotionally like, I don't know. It just felt like the way they structured everything, the way they built everything up, I was really expecting some kind of horrible Red Wedding-esque kind of, Infinity War level kind of moments. And all the emotional bits later, like Dustin talking to his uncle. Devastating, heartbreaking, great acting, and great little moment of him being like, he was a hero. Dustin was really, really good in this episode. Really, really good. But I just feel like the big death moments, and maybe it was just because they hyped it up. 5 people are going to die. We're the Duffer Brothers and 5 people are going to die. It's going to be amazing. And I just feel like maybe it's on me. It's on me. I set myself up for expectations of being like, oh, they're really going to like go dark now. Like, I feel like there's no coming back. It's not going to be the fun show it was. Like, there's always been spooks and scares and stuff, but really it's been like really fun. It's been a fun show, and the heartbreak and horror and stuff kind of, except for season 1 with Joyce being like, where's my son, and crying the whole season, just incredible acting and powerful and just horrific to see. It's kind of been mostly fun since then, and now I really thought this was going to be that dark turn, and I just kind of feel like they did it in a weird, interesting way, and I think I'll be the only one that thinks this. I think that everyone's going to really, really like this, and they're going to kind of feel like Max is dead. Because right at the end, I was like, oh, I'm in a black void, I can't find Max. But yeah, she's in a coma. But I just feel like if you're going to put her in a coma, she's going to come back out of that coma. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a bit mixed on it all. I love the episodes, but I just left them feeling like, I think my issues really are on me and what I kind of thought they were going to do. Like, it's just like the start of episode 8, like the start of this second part is essentially Vecna sitting down Nancy, and he's just like, we're in the end game now, Nancy. I'm going to end the world and every single person's going to die. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to Infinity War this stuff. This is crazy. They're going to first half of Game of Thrones this shit. It's going to be Red Wedding shit all over the place. But then the episode, when I feel like I look back, it kind of almost feels like a really good version of The Long Night. Like, I'm sorry to invoke the word The Long Night. I know that's going to trigger a lot of people and have them flashbacks to that horrible, dark episode of just nothing. But it kind of, I don't know, it's way better than that. But it does kind of remind me of that, where I just expected so many people to die and expected half the cast to like die. And then they didn't. And that just kind of annoyed me, even though it's like not fair to be like, they should just kill everyone. It's like, I don't want them just to kill them all. But there are just so many moments, like when Steve and the 2 girls, they've got the next time they're all there, and then they're just like, we got it out of that. That's a miracle. Sweet. Okay. It just, I don't know. I think because it was just so big and so epic. and there was that build between the first 7 and these 2, and I don't know, I just feel like there was so much speculation of what crazy madness could happen building into that final season. I think I just got myself too hyped for something horrible to happen. And I honestly don't want something horrible to happen in this. Like, I'm watching The Boys right now. That's all the horror I need right now. Even though this is like more of a horror show, like, technically. I don't know. I think on a rewatch, I'm going to appreciate it a lot more. I'm going to find it a lot more kind of satisfying and devastating in those emotional beats that are there, rather than being like, you only killed 2 people and one of them's in a coma now, she's not even technically dead. So, I don't know. I'm making this review, but I feel like I'll probably change my mind. But I would be interested if people kind of agree with me on the way these characters were killed and stuff, because, yeah, I don't know, I feel like with both characters, I have kind of issues with how it was presented and how it was dealt with in ways that I just didn't really think I would. I really thought that California crew might kind of turn out to be the original Avengers team that we're gonna have, not maybe go back in time, but they'd have to, do everything next season, them, a defeated 11, and, maybe a Lucas and a Nancy. I really thought Steve was gonna die too. Pretty happy Steve didn't die. That was a big thing I thought was gonna happen. But yeah, I don't know. Just felt, I don't know, slightly underwhelming in a bizarre way where I just think my expectations were so high. I just built it up to this thing that it couldn't possibly be. But also, maybe they'll just do all of that in season 5. Maybe they're like, whoa, you thought we're going to just kill the main characters? We have a whole season to do, which will end up being another 45 hours again. So there's plenty of time for them to kill characters. But it really isn't that I don't know, it's just that the battle was so grand and epic. It kind of, yeah, not to bring it back to the Long Night. I'm sorry to invoke that name again. But the Long Night was just, there was so much build up and there was so much like, the White Walker King Man and Bran and all these things where it was like Vecna, 11, it's all building up. It really did feel like a series finale. And because I kind of feel like she won and they all burnt her together, and Steve and Nancy and Robin, they're throwing the fire and it's like, she's like bang, 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 bang. And running up that hill's playing and it's like, yeah, we won, we did it. And then it's like, oh no, there's 30 more minutes and they're all like, oh, it's going to be tense next time when we have to verse him again. But even though you lost Max, but then you kind of didn't lose Max, it's like, you still beat him. Like the scientist guys were all like, Vecna, he's gonna, you don't know how powerful he's going to be. And Papa was essentially being Yoda, being like, don't go to Bespin Luke, don't go verse Darth Vader, don't go verse Vecna, you're not strong enough. This is Empire Strikes Back, don't pull a Luke. And she's like, I'll pull a Luke, actually. But it's like if Luke chopped off Vader's hand, and Vader's like, oh, now I gotta go cower and be in defense, And Han Solo was, comatose, which he was. I don't know. It's like, yeah, he could totally be stuck in frozen carbonite forever. But if you really just wanted to kill him, you would have just killed him, because you'd leave in the opportunity for him to come back. And that's how I kind of feel like Max's thing, where it's like, yeah, I don't know. I still really like this. I'll probably rewatch it this weekend. Still really liked it. The whole thing was mostly spectacular. There were some really great moments, like the bit where Hopper just picks up this giant sword like it's out of Warcraft. I'm like, where did that come from? Has he been holding that the whole time? Like it just materialized like it's the sword of Gryffindor out of a sorting hat. He just picks it up. It's like the size of him. And he's a big man. He's swinging, he's cutting the demigod, he chops its head off, and the music's playing, and it's like the Samuel Kim remix of Stranger Things theme with the Running Up the Hill song. It's all brilliant, epic, and grand. There's some really, really good stuff. Will gets some beautiful, heartbreaking moments. That scene in the truck, or in the van, when he's talking to Mike. He's like, here's the poster, you're the heart, you and Elle, you love each other. But then he breaks down because he's like, I couldn't come out to Mike because I love Mike. And it's just devastating. That was probably the best moment of the whole 2 episodes. They really, really worked. I loved all the Papa stuff in episode 8. Just exceptional stuff. I liked a lot of it. A lot of the, just all the characters mixing up and, these 3 will go here, these 2 will go here. And the way it was all separated really, really worked. I loved that Jock Guy and Lucas had a kind of a showdown, and the way he kind of appeared and he's like, it's all the, the mystic evil stuff. It's the Satanist cult stuff. That all just fit so perfectly and felt so brutal and tragic. And I loved how he stepped on the, the headphones that could save her, but he didn't even realize what he's doing. And I just love how he's so mixed up in this, but so confusing. He has no idea what's truly going on. And I always felt like in, the first 7 episodes, why is Lucas with them? And then he's suddenly like, oh, these guys are crazy, I'm gonna leave. And it just felt a bit like, I don't know, that didn't feel properly fleshed out, and it felt like he bowed too early. But it's like, no, because he has to have this showdown later, and that's why he's friends with them. And it just all kind of came together, because I always felt like, oh, you didn't kind of do anything with that. He just kind of bailed, and they're all like, weren't you our friend? But now it all comes whole. His big jock speech to the town leads them to be like, hey, some spooky stuff's going on in that house. And Brilliant stuff. There were so many great just fist pump, just like, yeah, cheering to the TV kind of moments that it was filled with those kind of moments. My favorite one, which I feel like is like just before a big kind of fist bump cheer moment. It's just such, I don't know, it just made me laugh so hard. It's like the Demogorgon's about to attack Hopper, and then Murray is just like, hey, asshole. And the Demogorgon looks up, he's like, what? How dare you call me an asshole? And then he burns the Demogorgon alive. It's just, why do you look up? Like, I know he's just got a shouting thing, but I like the idea that the Demogorgon's like, hey, Murray, how dare you call me that? I'm not an asshole. And then he, burns him alive. One thing I did really love, though, was, and it often doesn't work for me, like, I go straight to the James Bond thing, where the last James Bond, the second last now, there's a new James Bond that's kind of old now, but Inspector, he's all like, it was me all along, James Bond, all those unconnected movies, they're all connected now, and it was me all along. This isn't a retcon, I was in those movies, just as a puppet master behind the scenes. No, you weren't. Shut up. Don't try and tie this all together like some big mythology. It doesn't work. But then, Time for Die's like, actually, we can make that work. I'm like, okay, all right. I guess it just depends on how you handle it. And Vecna does the same thing. He's like, Elle, it was me all along. I was the Mind Flayer. And just, in episode 8, she's like, Papa, that time in season 1 where you absolutely were not looking for Vecna? Was that you actually looking for Vecna? Yes, it was, 11. Right, Duffer Brothers, and they're like, off camera, being like, yeah. This isn't a retcon. We planned this from season 1. No, you didn't. You might have planned it from season 2, and there's a lot of stuff in season 3 where directly, like, the lines Billy says, you're like, 100% thought out and well placed together. But I do think a lot of that season 1 stuff is them being like, we can kind of fit this in. This actually, and it actually works really, really well. Really brilliantly. I'm not trying to throw shade. I just find it funny how he's like, I was behind it all along. That one and done season we made that we had no idea people would, love and would become the next global phenomenon. Yeah, we planned Vecna. Sure you did. But I really like how it's connected. I feel like season 2 and 3 and 4 do feel like it was thought out. And it makes a lot of sense as well, like the way everything's being presented. There is kind of a funny moment where Will finally gets back into Hawkins. I also did feel like Will this season, he was kind of like, and he's going on this kind of emotional self-discovery journey. He's kind of not being able to come out, which is really some of the best stuff with him and Mike and then him and Jonathan. Just devastating, brilliant stuff. That was easily the best stuff emotionally for character-wise. Just because I feel like they hadn't really done that much with them. The California crew really felt really separate. But then when he comes back to town, I'm like, the reason Wills doesn't have that kind of character drive he had in season 2 and 3, when he kind of joined the main cast and wasn't just kind of, the MacGuffin they had to find, essentially. And he did have a couple of scenes in season 1, but not really, is because he had that connection to the Mind Flayer, or to Vecna. And I love how he's like, oh man, I got the tingly spine thingy. It's weird to think that was some dude called Vecna. I thought it was a big Cthulhu smoke monster, but it's just some dude who Elle threw into an evil dimension. I don't know, it's really fun, and it's good to have Will kind of back. He'll be back in Hawkins bin like, ooh, I've got Vecna's, I can feel his mojo, or whatever. I also did really think that the whole California side, they felt like they were getting dogged a little bit, and not like as much screen time. But then, as these last 2 started building, I'm like, the reason they're not coming back to town is because everyone in town, most of them, they're all gonna die. I really thought Dustin was going to die. I was like, they're going to kill so many of them. And then that California crew, the OGs, and Argyle, the completely stereotypical stoner. It's funny as well, like, they started this season being like, we got a stoner, we got a new jock, we got a new nerd. And the new nerd and new jock died, and then they were both the most fleshed out and well-developed, and kind of, they went beyond that one-dimensional character. And then Argyle, the only one of those 3 characters that didn't die, was the only one that's still one-dimensional. Like, his most defining characteristic was that at that one time he saw a girl and he liked her a little bit and was like, oh, she's hot. And then he got high with her. I mean, I don't hate him, man. One of my favorite parts of this episode was when they go to the surfer pizza place and I'm like, I bet you the guy behind the counter is that same totally cool bro, dude, bro, that really cliche stoner kind of character. And he was, and it was hilarious, and I loved it. So it doesn't have to be fully developed, but it's just funny that the only non-developed character that they introduced in their, stereotypical new character trait thingies was the one that survived. It's just a funny little thing I noticed. But yeah, I would be super fascinated what everyone thought. Is everyone just like, big gay Stranger Things, greatest thing in the world? Or you kind of have these little issues a bit like slightly underwhelming in a bizarre way. I feel like, not that I can't place it, but I'm just kind of like, maybe it was just such a long episode, watching 4 hours in a row. I felt just like deflated by the end, but not emotionally drained and heartbroken the way I think I was just priming my body to be devastated and emotionally destroyed. And it just didn't really hit that mark. Maybe that's kind of it. I think that's it. Yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment below. I'd love to know what everyone thought of Stranger Things Part 2 Season 4.